This favorable economics, combined with the short growth cycle of kale, 30 to 60 days from planting to first harvest, allows for quick return on investment and rapid scaling of operations. Eco-Agric Uganda's holistic approach. The success of small-space kale gardening at the training center stems from Eco-Agric Uganda's comprehensive approach that integrates agricultural training with business development and environmental stewardship. This holistic model ensures that farmers not only know how to grow kale but also how to market it sustainably and profitably. Sustainable training methodologies. Eco-Agric Uganda has developed a training curriculum specifically tailored to Uganda's urban and peri-urban contexts. Key components include hands-on learning. Trainees work directly with kale plants in various small-space systems, gaining practical experience that builds confidence and competence. Organic practices. The center emphasizes organic farming methods, including compost production, natural pest management, and water conservation techniques that reduce input costs and environmental impact. Climate-smart techniques. Training incorporates climate adaptation strategies such as rainwater harvesting, shade structures, and drought-resistant varieties that help farmers cope with Uganda's variable climate patterns. Business skills. Beyond cultivation techniques, trainees learn basic business skills including record-keeping, financial management, and marketing strategies. This comprehensive approach ensures that graduates are equipped not just to grow kale but to build sustainable small businesses around its production and sale. Women's empowerment focus. Eco-Agric Uganda has made women's empowerment a central pillar of its kale gardening program. Recognizing that women often bear the responsibility for household food security and nutrition while facing barriers to land ownership and economic opportunities, the center has developed targeted initiatives. Women-only training sessions. These create supportive environments where women can learn freely and build confidence. Microfinance linkages. The center connects women trainees with microfinance institutions to access startup capital for their kale gardens. Marketing support. Women producers receive assistance in accessing markets, often through women-led marketing cooperatives that improve bargaining power and ensure fair prices. The impact has been significant, with many women participants reporting increased household income, improved nutrition for their families, and greater decision-making power within their households and communities. Community impact and environmental stewardship. Beyond individual economic benefits, Eco-Agric Uganda's kale gardening program generates broader community impacts. Food security. By training urban dwellers to grow their own nutrient-dense food, the program contributes to improved household food security, particularly in vulnerable communities. Environmental benefits. The promotion of organic methods and efficient water use reduces agriculture's environmental footprint. Additionally, urban kale gardens contribute to green spaces that mitigate urban heat island effects and improve air quality. Waste reduction. The program incorporates recycling and waste reduction principles, encouraging the use of recycled containers and composting of kitchen waste to fertilize gardens. Community building. Training sessions and gardening cooperatives foster social connections and knowledge sharing, strengthening community resilience. These community-level impacts align with Uganda's national development priorities and international sustainability goals, positioning small-space kale gardening as a model for urban agriculture development. Benefits for Ugandans, beyond economic returns. While the economic potential of small-space kale gardening is compelling, the benefits extend far beyond daily income. Ugandans participating in Eco-Agric Uganda's program experience improvements in nutrition, food security, and overall quality of life. Nutritional enhancement. Kale's nutritional profile offers significant health benefits for Ugandans, many of whom face nutritional challenges. Micronutrient access. The vitamins and minerals in kale address common deficiencies, particularly vitamin A, iron, and calcium, which are often lacking in staple-heavy Ugandan diets. Dietary diversification. Kale provides a welcome addition to traditional starch-based meals, improving overall dietary diversity. Affordable nutrition. For families growing their own kale, it represents a low-cost source of high-quality nutrition, reducing reliance on expensive imported vegetables or supplements. For children and pregnant women, groups particularly vulnerable to malnutrition, the availability of fresh kale can have significant long-term health impacts, supporting physical and cognitive development. Food security and self-sufficiency. In urban areas of Uganda, where food prices can be volatile and supply chains vulnerable to disruption, small-space kale gardening contributes to household food security. Reliable food source. Even a small kale garden provides a dependable source of nutritious food, reducing vulnerability to market fluctuations. Extended growing season. With proper techniques, kale can be grown year-round in many parts of Uganda, providing consistent access to fresh produce. Emergency buffer. During economic hardships or supply chain disruptions, kale gardens serve as an important buffer against food insecurity. This self-sufficiency aspect has become increasingly important as Uganda faces challenges from climate change, population growth, and global economic uncertainties. Urban utility and space optimization. In Uganda's rapidly growing urban areas, where space is at a premium and many live in rented accommodations without access to land, small-space kale gardening offers unique advantages. Space efficiency. The techniques promoted by Eco-Agric Uganda allow food production in very small areas, making urban agriculture feasible even in crowded conditions. Aesthetic value. Kale plants, especially colorful varieties like red Russian kale, add beauty to urban spaces, improving the living environment. Educational opportunities. Urban gardens serve as living classrooms for children and adults alike, fostering connections to food sources and agricultural knowledge. Community spaces. Shared kale gardens in urban neighborhoods can become community gathering places, strengthening social bonds. These urban utility benefits contribute to more livable, resilient cities while reconnecting urban dwellers with agricultural practices. Low barriers to entry. Perhaps one of the most significant benefits of small-space kale gardening is its accessibility to a wide range of Ugandans. Minimal land requirements. Unlike traditional agriculture, small-space techniques require no land ownership, making them accessible to renters and those in informal settlements. Low startup costs. Basic containers can be recycled or acquired cheaply, and seeds are affordable, making initial investment minimal. Skill accessibility. While training improves outcomes, basic kale cultivation can be learned relatively quickly, with Eco-Agric Uganda providing free resources to lower barriers further. Scalability. Gardeners can start small and expand as they gain experience and confidence, reducing financial risk. This low barrier to entry makes small-space kale gardening an inclusive opportunity, available to urban poor, women, youth, and other marginalized groups often excluded from traditional agricultural opportunities. Challenges and solutions. Overcoming obstacles in small-space kale production. Despite its many benefits, small-space kale gardening in Uganda faces several challenges. Eco-Agric Uganda has developed practical solutions to these obstacles, drawing on local knowledge and innovative approaches. Pest management. Challenge. Kale is susceptible to several pests common in Uganda, including aphids, cabbage worms, and caterpillars. In small-space gardens where natural predators may be less abundant, these pests can quickly devastate crops. Solutions. Integrated pest management. IPM Eco-Agric Uganda trains farmers in IPM techniques that combine multiple strategies. Neem oil applications. This natural pesticide, derived from the neem tree common in Uganda, effectively controls aphids and soft-bodied insects without harmful chemicals. Companion planting. Growing onions, garlic, and herbs alongside kale naturally repels many pests. Physical barriers. Netting protects young plants from birds and larger insects. Hand-picking. Regular inspection and manual removal of pests is feasible in small gardens. Resistant varieties. The center promotes kale varieties that show natural resistance to common Ugandan pests. Biological controls. Introduction of beneficial insects like ladybugs and lacewings helps maintain ecological balance. Disease management. Challenge. Fungal diseases, particularly in Uganda's humid climate, can quickly spread in small-space gardens where air circulation may be limited. Solutions. Prevention. Proper spacing between plants and pruning of lower leaves improves air circulation, reducing fungal growth. Organic fungicides. Solutions like baking soda spray and compost tea help prevent and treat fungal issues without harmful chemicals. Water management. Careful watering practices. Watering at the base of plants rather than overhead reduces moisture on leaves, minimizing fungal growth. Crop rotation. Even in small spaces, rotating kale with unrelated crops helps break disease cycles. Market access and price fluctuations. Challenge. Kale is still a relatively new crop in many Ugandan markets, and farmers may face challenges finding reliable buyers or dealing with price fluctuations. Challenge. Kale is still a relatively new crop in many Ugandan markets, and farmers may face challenges finding reliable buyers or dealing with price fluctuations. Solutions. Market linkages. Eco-Agric Uganda connects farmers with reliable buyers, including supermarkets, restaurants, hotels, and health food stores. Value addition. Training in simple processing techniques, such as making kale chips, smoothie packs, or dried kale, extends shelf life and creates products with higher value and longer marketability. Collective marketing. The center facilitates the formation of farmer groups that can aggregate produce, improving bargaining power and access to larger markets. Market research. Regular market analysis helps farmers understand demand patterns and price trends, enabling better production planning. Climate challenges. Challenge. Uganda's climate, with its intense sun, heavy rains, and increasing variability, poses challenges for consistent kale production. Solutions. Shade structures. Simple shade cloths or strategically placed taller plants protect kale from intense sun during the hottest months. Rainwater harvesting. Collection and storage systems allow irrigation during dry spells, reducing dependence on erratic rainfall. Season extension. Low-cost hoop houses or row covers extend growing seasons and protect crops during extreme weather. Climate-resilient varieties. The center promotes and breeds kale varieties adapted to local climate conditions, including tolerance to heat, drought, and humidity. Knowledge gaps and training limitations. Challenge. As a relatively new approach in Uganda, many potential kale gardeners lack knowledge of proper techniques, and training resources may be limited. Solutions. Farmer-to-farmer extension. Eco-Agric Uganda trains successful graduates as community trainers, expanding the reach of their program. Digital resources. The center develops simple, accessible digital content, videos, SMS tips, that can be shared widely via mobile phones. Demonstration gardens. Visible community gardens serve as living classrooms, allowing neighbors to learn through observation. Simplified materials. Training materials are adapted for varying literacy levels, with extensive visual aids and hands-on demonstrations. Conclusion. The future of urban agriculture in Uganda. Small-space kale gardening at Eco-Agric Uganda's training center represents more than just an innovative agricultural technique. It embodies a vision for sustainable urban development that integrates economic opportunity, nutritional security, and environmental stewardship. The success of this program offers valuable lessons for the future of agriculture in Uganda and beyond. A model for sustainable urban agriculture. The Eco-Agric Uganda model demonstrates that urban agriculture can be both productive and sustainable, even in very small spaces. By focusing on high-value crops like kale, employing space-efficient techniques, and emphasizing organic practices, the center has created a blueprint for urban farming that maximizes limited resources, makes productive use of small spaces, recycled materials, and organic waste, generates meaningful income, creates viable livelihood opportunities, particularly for women and youth in urban areas, improves nutrition and food security, increases access to fresh, nutritious produce in urban food deserts, builds environmental resilience, contributes to greener cities, waste reduction, and climate adaptation. This model challenges the notion that urban agriculture is merely a hobby or supplemental activity, positioning it instead as a viable component of urban food systems and local economies. Scaling and replication. The success of small-space kale gardening at Eco-Agric Uganda suggests significant potential for scaling and replication. Geographic expansion. The techniques demonstrated can be adapted to various urban and peri-urban settings across Uganda and similar contexts in East Africa. Crop diversification. While kale has proven successful, the same small-space techniques can be applied to other high-value crops, increasing diversity and resilience. Integration with formal systems. There is potential for integration with formal education systems, urban planning, and social welfare programs to expand impact. Policy influence. As evidence of success grows, these practices could inform agricultural and urban development policies at local and national levels. The path forward. For small-space kale gardening to reach its full potential in Uganda, several developments are needed. Increased investment. Both public and private investment in urban agriculture infrastructure, research, and training will be essential for scaling. Market development. Continued efforts to develop markets for urban-grown produce will ensure economic viability for small-scale producers. Knowledge sharing. Expansion of farmer-to-farmer learning networks and accessible training resources will spread best practices. Supportive policies. Policies that recognize and support urban agriculture, through land access, water rights, and zoning, will create an enabling environment. Eco-Agric Uganda's training center stands at the forefront of this movement, demonstrating daily that small spaces can yield big returns. The kale growing in containers and raised beds across Uganda is more than just a vegetable, it's a symbol of innovation, resilience, and hope for a more sustainable and equitable future. As Uganda continues to urbanize and face the challenges of climate change, population growth, and economic development, the lessons from small-space kale gardening offer valuable insights. They show that with creativity, knowledge, and community support, even the smallest spaces can become engines of nutrition, income, and environmental stewardship. The $20 daily earnings possible from a humble kale garden represent not just personal economic gain, but a pathway toward a more sustainable and food-secure future for all Ugandans.